Well, hi there, everybody, and welcome to the channel. My name's Kareth, and I really appreciate you stopping by. Today, I'm going to pull out some freeze-dried ingredients and some fresh ingredients, and I'm going to make a casserole. This is a beef and noodle casserole or cheesy beef and noodles, something like that. I will put the full recipe down below so you don't feel like you have to jot down these instructions as I say them to you. I will write the full recipe down below in the description box. So I'm going to start with just some ground meat here, and we're going to brown that up and add some things to it to make it taste good. Now, this casserole, this is not a casserole that my mama made when I was growing up. I did eat this casserole quite a bit, and that's because every potluck we ever attended had this casserole. It seemed like everybody else's mama made this casserole, so mine didn't have to. But yeah, it was at every church potluck, school potluck, and it's so good. It's easy to make. You know, it just wasn't one of the ones that my mama did. So right now I'm just seasoning up that ground beef. And of course, you could use the Thrive Life ground beef if you would rather. The seasonings that I'm going to add here are just salt, pepper, onion powder, and paprika. You can add whatever seasonings you like. Seasonings are very personal, and the amounts of seasonings can be adjusted really easily. So I'm just going to guess at how much I'm putting in here. Obviously, I'm not measuring most of this, but I will write some sort of a recipe down below in the description box. But let me tell y'all about that onion powder. You just saw me put some onion powder in there that was in that little glass jar. And let me tell you what that is. I made that onion powder out of some leftover Thrive Life onion slices that I found in the back of my pantry. I had accidentally left some in the bottom of this giant can, like a family can. And y'all, they'd been there for like 2.5 years. I live in a very humid climate. I had to put them in my little Ninja toaster oven and dehydrate them. But then I just put them in my blender, blended them up, and I have the best tasting onion powder I've ever had. So it was not a loss for sure. Now, while that ground beef is still kind of pink and it's releasing its juices, I'm going to add some freeze-dried ingredients here because that way they can fry in the fat that comes off of the beef. So I've got some chopped onions, I'm putting some green onions in here, and now I'm going to add some Thrive Life freeze-dried garlic. I love our garlic. If you don't have those green onions, don't worry about it. You can either leave them out altogether, or you could use some Lighthouse brand, either chives or spring onions. Those work really well. But don't feel like you have to buy that for this recipe. You don't. You can just use the Thrive Life chopped onions and then leave out the green onions. No big deal. And if you don't have the Thrive Life freeze-dried garlic, you can just add some garlic powder. But I really like to add the onions and the garlic at this stage because they'll fry. And I do like to saute them just a little bit. All right, now when your beef is completely browned and it's cooked the way you like it to be cooked, I like to drain some of that grease off. This little method, you know, the paper towel method, it's probably my favorite way to drain off grease. I don't love having to deal with grease. That's why I use Thrive Life a lot because they've already done that for me. All right, I've got some water boiling at the back of my stove, and I went ahead and salted it because I'm going to add those wide egg noodles. That's probably 7 or 8 ounces of those egg noodles. And just as soon as you plunge them into boiling water, go ahead and give them a stir. That way they won't stick. Now I like to add my carrots to my noodles. And I know that might sound a little funny, but it's because the carrots are dehydrated and they take quite a lot of time to refresh or rehydrate. They have access to that boiling water and they get nice and tender in the amount of time it takes to cook the noodles. All right, back to the meat. I've added some water there because I'm going to make a tomato sauce in here now. So I will add some more water in a minute, but I wanted to give the sauce powders a little somewhere to land. So I put some water down. And then I'm adding the Thrive Life tomato sauce, which is my favorite. I love that stuff so much. It tastes so good. And in addition to that, I'm going to add some beef bouillon. And if you don't have the Thrive Life beef bouillon, don't worry. Any kind of beef bouillon will do. I just happen to like ours a lot. I also add some Espanol sauce to this because, yeah, it's delicious. It's that beefy gravy kind of sauce, and it's so rich in flavor and so fancy, and I just love it. Did y'all know you can combine the sauce powders like this? Because you can, and I do, and I love it. So I'm just gonna stir that into the meat right there, and then I'll add some more water. This is going to give our Thrive Life veggies a place to land, okay? So I'm gonna add some vegetables at this point. I like adding zucchini. First of all, great flavor, but mild flavor. And I just like to add extra green things if I possibly can. If I put them in a casserole like this, you can't even really tell they're there in the end. And hey, I've added a green vegetable, so I feel good about that. I'm also going to add some tomato dices. So maybe half a cup of zucchini, half a cup of tomato dice, something like that, maybe a third of a cup. But like I said, I'll put the recipe down below, and it doesn't have to be exact. It's just going to be delicious. If you follow this general procedure, it will be delicious. Now, since those veggies are freeze-dried, they do need access to some liquid so that they can rehydrate, and they are raw vegetables, so they do need a little bit of time in the sauce to cook. That's what I'm going to do at this point. I'm going to stir those in, and I'm going to try and bring this up to a simmer to cook those vegetables. Meanwhile, let's check on the noodles and the carrots at the back. Every once in a while, you might just come along and give those a stir. Make sure they're not sticking. And you'll just want to cook those according to the package directions to al dente. All right, at this point, I'm just checking on that sauce. Whenever your noodles get to the point where they're good and tender, I tested it and it was tender to the point of being al dente, you can pull those off and drain off that water. And then to the noodles, you're going to add some cottage cheese and some sour cream. Now, if you're not a big fan of cottage cheese on its own, well, don't worry. Still try this recipe, because what happens is the cottage cheese and the sour cream, they kind of meld in with the sauce. The flavors combine. They just become part of the sauce, and you won't even really notice that they're there. They're just part of a sauce. Add about a cup of each of those. You'll just stir that into the noodles, into those hot noodles, and that's all there is to this part. And see, the carrots are in there with the noodles. You will get those little orange flecks in the noodles, but I mean, it's all going to end up together in a casserole anyway. So I just think adding the carrots to that boiling water is your best bet of getting those nice and tender for them to go into that casserole. All right, meanwhile, our meat sauce is looking so good. You do have to stir it every once in a while, make sure it doesn't stick. But that ground beef is so good after you brown it to get the browned bits, right? That's good flavor. And then you put the water and the sauce in there, and it cooks even more, and it ends up with a more poached meat kind of texture. And it's so tender. Y'all, it's just delicious. Go ahead and give that a taste and make sure the zucchini and the tomatoes are tender, and you can adjust the seasonings if you need to. I didn't. It was perfect. I thought it had fantastic flavor. Now, I've gotten out a casserole dish. That's a 9x13, but anywhere around either an 8x10 or a 9x13, something like that would be fine. I did spray that. And then this casserole goes on in layers. So first layer down is your noodles with the cheese and sour cream. And then you can just ladle on some of the tomato meat sauce. And it doesn't have to be too exact here. Just kind of smooth it out and try to make a layer. And don't fuss about it too much. It just doesn't matter. I saw the Pioneer Woman make a recipe like this, and this is how she did it. So I thought I'm gonna try her method here and making this into a layered dish. It is very pretty, but I don't think it makes a bit of difference whenever you cook it. because everything kind of just goes together. So you can do it however you like it. You can combine everything if you prefer. I just went ahead and did these layers because I thought I should at least try. All right, now on the top is going to go some cheese. I thought I had cheddar in my fridge. I did not. So I'm using what I had, and it ended up great. If you like the cheese, then it'll probably be great on the top of this casserole. You could use mozzarella, cheddar, Colby Jack. I used that quesadilla cheese, and it was so good. I baked it for about 15 minutes in the oven and broiled it for 2 minutes at the end to get a little browning on the top. Now you do have to let it sit for like 5 or 10 minutes to firm up a little bit so you can cut it and serve it. I got 6 big servings out of this. And oh my word, it is so delicious. I am very pleased with this recipe. Even my very picky daughter said it was great. So isn't that just beautiful? That meat sauce, that melted cheese, and all the noodles. I think it's a very pretty dish. I like this dish a lot. And I love it that you can combine very easily freeze-dried ingredients with fresh ingredients and get a fantastic casserole. I think the sour cream kind of soaks into the noodles in a way. And even for people who don't like cottage cheese, you can't really tell it's cottage cheese because it melds with all the other flavors in the dish, and it's so good. It really is delicious. I ate this for lunch that day and for dinner that same night, and I did not mind. It's that good. I think if y'all try this recipe, you're gonna like it. You'll have to let me know in the comments below whether or not you grew up eating this casserole, and let me know what you thought of it then and if you still eat it now. If you like cooking with freeze-dried foods and you think you would like to have a cookbook for meals in jars, so these are completely shelf-stable meals, I have 2 cookbooks out at this time, and I will link them below in the description box. They are available on my website, which is thefreezedriedfoodie.com. Book 1 is also available in paperback, printed version, and it's available on Amazon, and I will link that below as well. I will also put the full recipe down in the description box in case y'all want to try and make this at home. I'm also going to include my shopping link below in case you want to pick up any of these Thrive Life ingredients you see featured in my recipes. Well, all right, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please do hit the like button if you don't mind, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Well, I hope you'll have a wonderful day. God bless you. And until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.